Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Good evening. I hope you all are having a great day and welcome to Coach to Transformations webinar. Today we have Cath Daley joining from London, UK. So I'm just going to give a brief introduction about Cath. Cath is a highly successful and experienced ICF Master Certified Coach, women's senior leadership coach, mentor, presentation coach, teacher, author, and speaker based in Liverpool in the UK. I'm so sorry, Liverpool. With over 22 years of experience coaching and training across a wide range of sectors and industries, her innovative lead like a woman and coaching adventure programs specialize in helping women leaders to decrease their stress and eliminate their limitations so they are confident to step into a different way of leading that increases their fulfillment as well as their productivity. And she also loves learning. She has an ability to make the complex simple in a way that motivates and inspires others to change. She has a proven track record of providing innovative and inspirational coaching, and today she's here for a webinar with us. Over to you, Cath.
Thank you very much, Aishwarya. It's lovely to be here with everybody. Quite an international audience. So hello from Liverpool. Most people have heard of where Liverpool is for one reason or another. I'm delighted to be here today. As Aishwarya said, I have been coaching for a long time, over 23 years. I got into coaching when I was a high school physics teacher, and how I got from there to here is a very long story. But I started coaching my team and became so convinced of the passion of coaching that it has then become my main career. I am absolutely passionate about the power of coaching because I've experienced it myself and from all of my clients. And as well as the leadership coaching programs, I also run mentoring programs for coaches who are going for their ICF credential. And I'm passionate about helping coaches to be the best they can be. And what we're going to talk about today is one of my favorite coaching topics, which is curiosity. If I share my screen. So today's session is called Engaging with Curiosity. It's a reasonably interactive session. I'm going to be asking you to type in the chat channel. There will be a question and answer session towards the end. So if you have any questions as you're going through, just note them down and then put them in the chat channel later on when we get to the Q&A. So let's get started. I believe that one of the most precious things you can bring to a coaching client is genuine curiosity. In this session, we'll begin by looking at what curiosity is in the context of coaching and what it isn't. We'll distinguish between nosy curiosity and coaching curiosity, which is being genuinely curious and helping to create awareness for our clients. We'll consider what the benefits are of being curious, both for yourself as a coach and for your clients. I'll share some strategies for further developing your coaching curiosity. And finally, we'll have a little learning review. Now that I have outlined what we're going to be covering, in true coaching fashion, I'm going to ask you, what do you want to take away from this session? So what do you want to think? What's one thing that you'd like to get from this session? How will you know you got it? And what difference will it make for you when you have that? So if you'd like to type in the chat channel, what's one thing you'd like to take away from this session?
Dipendra says new perspective.
Right, okay. I just opened the chat channel. Yeah. Tools to generate curiosity in the clients. Nosiness and curiosity, we'll definitely be looking at that. Masterful curiosity, different approach. How to develop a curious mindset. Well, I will do my very best to deliver on all of those today. Great appreciation of the role. How to remain curious without judgment. Yep. Great appreciation of their own curiosity, practicing curiosity without inhibition, ways to win curiosity. Great. Thank you all for that. So what is curiosity? We are all born with a lot of it. I have 2 small grandchildren in Melbourne, in Australia, and they are constantly asking me questions about anything and everything, and the same with their mum and their dad and everybody around them. We are so curious as young children. So what happens? Well, the data suggests that it tends to disappear over time, unfortunately. And by the time that we're adults, it actually becomes undervalued, particularly in the workplace. And although people view it as a catalyst for job satisfaction, for motivation, for innovation, for high performance, they don't tend to experience it at work, which is great news for us as coaches. In her books, Dare to Lead and Atlas of the Heart, Brené Brown states that curiosity is an act of vulnerability and courage. That choosing to be curious is choosing to be vulnerable. Why? Because it requires us to surrender to uncertainty, to admit to not knowing and to being comfortable with not knowing, which leads to discoveries that can lead to discomfort, both ourselves and our clients. And for me, this encapsulates what curiosity in coaching is all about if you want to become or develop mastery. But it all depends on the type of curiosity you show. And this is where we come on to nosy curiosity and coaching curiosity. So before I give you what I think they mean, type in the chat box for me what you think nosy curiosity is. What do you think nosy curiosity is? Intrusive, doubting, gossip seeking, curious to not from the client's point of view. Curiosity is associated judgment, stepping in the boundaries, unnecessary, crossing boundaries, not related to the coaching topic, not for the client, for the coach. Judgmental questions. Interesting, gossipy, being curious in things which don't concern us, asking client questions on areas that they haven't talked about. Someone who asks too many questions, looking for ways to lead to direct. Absolutely, most of those. And here are some other characteristics. Nosy curiosity is when you are asking for your benefit as a coach. When it's not for the client's benefit, where we ask questions that the client already knows the answers to. So their answer is only for you, and it doesn't help create awareness for the client. It doesn't help to move that conversation forward. Very often, as somebody's already mentioned in the chat box, it directs the conversation. It can be very solutions focused. Very often it's telling rather than asking, although it's disguised as a question. And I'll give you an example of this from a client of mine, a coach I was working with. She was involved in a coaching triad in a training organization. And the client brought the topic that the client wants to work on was she was moving to a new country. But before she went, she had to give a very important presentation for her company. And she was stuck not being able to get the presentation done because there were so many other things to do. And that's what she wanted to work on, was how she could get this presentation done in time without stress. The coach asked her, which country are you moving to? Can you see how that is a nosy question? The client already knows the answer. It was irrelevant to what she wanted to work on. What she wanted to work on was getting unstuck from producing her presentation and getting this done before she left this country to move abroad. Asking which country she was going to does not move that conversation forward at all. It was for the coach's knowing, not the client's knowing. That's an example of nosy curiosity. Can you give me some examples, some more examples? Just type in the chat box of what you think some nosy curiosity questions would be. Any ideas? No? Asking about the past. Asking about the past could be relevant. It could move the coaching conversation forward as long as you don't stay there. The odd question where you dip your toe in the past and come out again, that can be useful. What position you'll be promoted to? Yes. Unless that's relevant to what the client wants to work on. It's all about relevance to what the client brings. And one of the things that we need to be asking ourselves when we're asking questions is, what is the purpose of that question? Am I asking it for my knowing, or am I asking it for helping to create awareness for the client? Where are you going for vacation? Yes, absolutely. Some great examples here. So nosy curiosity does not move the conversation forward. It's for our benefit, not for the clients. The danger of them as well is that it can send the client deeper into their story, which is not necessarily what we want to do because it's not always helpful. So the other type of curiosity is coaching curiosity. So what do you think coaching curiosity is? Can you type in the, yeah. Focused on discovery and understanding, sense of exploration, willingness to dive deeper. What else? Anything else? What do you think coaching curiosity questions are? Questions in self-discovery, leaving clients to tune inwards, leading to create awareness for the client, leading to create awareness for the client, clients to tune inwards, questions in self-discovery, deepening clients' awareness. Absolutely. Coaching curiosity questions are curious about the who of the client. They explore the client's thoughts or feelings in a way that helps to create greater awareness. So yes, using of open-ended questions, helping the client learn more about what motivates them. It's about discovering and challenging the client's thinking patterns and challenging their mental models. And that's where I like Brene Brown's quote, because when you are genuinely curious, you really do let go of that need to know, of that being comfortable with not knowing where things are going, being comfortable as a coach with not knowing the answers. Because it's all about challenging your client's thinking and opening that up for them. So yes, asking who questions, questions that can help the client explore what they haven't explored themselves before. So as I say, it's about challenging the client's thinking patterns and their mental models. So give me some examples of coaching curiosity questions. Now type some examples of coaching curious. What does that mean for you? At what point can it become indifference? What assumptions are you making here? What's important about this? Yeah, you'll notice a lot of them are what questions, what assumptions are you, how is this important for you? What is one step you can take? What have you not done? What's stopping you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? How is this insight supporting you? Who do you need to connect with? What would you do if there were no obstacles? Coaching curiosity questions tend to focus on the person rather than the issue. And that's where you go deeper and get deeper transformation. So when you think about what is the purpose of this question that I'm asking, is it to help the client create greater awareness and greater understanding about what's going on for them? As opposed to what's the situation and what can they do about the situation? The deeper coaching questions ask about how they're being and how they're showing up. So how does that make you feel? What's holding you back? Who do you have to be to reach this goal? They are all great examples of coaching curiosity questions. Curiosity appears in 2 of the ICF core competencies. Core competency 2 embodies a coaching mindset, and core competency 5 maintains presence. And they specify that it is all about the coach primarily demonstrating and maintaining a mindset of curiosity in order to learn more about the client through the session. One of the main differences, I think, between a more directive approach and a purely non-directive coach is the type of curiosity they show. The more directive coach tends to ask questions to elicit information, to collect data in order to work out which direction to take or to help the client to solve the problem. The purely non-directive coach asking questions is the intervention in itself. It's about helping the client to change their perspective or start to question how they're thinking or to see things in a different light. The coach's curiosity should be in the service of the client, not for the benefit of the coach. Now, warning, be aware of rabbit holes. Make sure that your curiosity is helping the client move forward rather than just helping you to gain a greater understanding of what's going on. Because really, I feel that I don't need to understand what's going on for my client. What I need to do is help my client understand what's going on for them and help to challenge their thinking around the whole thing. Genuine coaching curiosity allows you as the coach to dance in the moment with the client and engage with their limitless wisdom and resourcefulness. It's looking at this amazing person in front of you, knowing that they have all of the solutions they need, and that all we need to do as coaches is to help tease them out of them. It's to help them to challenge their perspective, to challenge the way they're thinking at the moment, because it's our thinking that keeps us stuck. Our behaviors, our feelings all come from the way we think about things. So when we challenge our clients' thinking, that's when we get, I believe, sustainable transformation happening. And that's where, for me, where the magic lies. So what are the benefits of curiosity? Believe it or not, curious people are happier. There have been a number of research projects that have shown curiosity to be associated with higher levels of positive emotions, lower levels of anxiety, more satisfaction with life, and greater psychological well-being. Of course, it might be partially because people who are already happier tend to be more curious. And curiosity is also related with creativity, correlated with creativity and innovation, intelligence, tighter relational bonds, improved learning and problem solving. In 2014, an article in the journal Neuron suggested that the brain's chemistry changes when we are curious, helping us to learn better and retain information. So there are multiple benefits all around. Personally, I think being passionately curious is a coach's superpower. So what are some of the benefits? They're the general benefits. So what are some of the benefits of being genuinely curious for you as a coach? And it also has a knock-on effect for your clients. It increases your effectiveness as a coach. Your clients get results quicker because being genuinely curious generates a space of discovery for your clients. Because you are not asking for data, you are challenging thinking, then that takes the client to a place that maybe they've never been to before without you asking these open, curious questions. It creates openness and partnership, and the trust in the coaching relationship deepens, and the coaching relationship is strengthened. There are greater shifts in mindset because when you observe your client with fascination, the coaching conversation allows new insights to surface when you give your client that space to explore. When you are genuinely curious, you tend to ask better questions, better quality questions, and coach at a higher level. One of the things that I see with many coaches that I work with is they are constantly looking for, I get asked, give me a set of questions, Cath. Can you please give me a list of great questions? I never give those out because I want to encourage coaches to become more intuitive, to be tuned into their client and to follow their client. And when you trust yourself as a coach and use that intuition, the question, the right question for that client in that moment will appear. Now, I know that sounds a bit vague, but when you trust yourself as a coach, that is genuinely what happens, because it's coming from a place of genuine curiosity, as opposed to looking at a list of questions and thinking, which one shall I ask next? Because when you do that, when you're focused on getting it right, you can't be fully present with your client, because part of your brain is thinking about what should be the next question I ask. Give yourself space and time as a coach to ask the next question. We don't have to have the question there ready to go as soon as the client finishes speaking. You as a coach also have time to think about the next question. And when you are genuinely curious, the quality of those questions tends to be better. When we are curious, we actually stimulate discovery. We create greater awareness for the client, and their perspective changes because we're asking them to look at the situation in a different way. So it changes perspectives. With coaching curiosity, there is exploring, digging, if you like, considering, reflecting, all of which leads to new understandings for the client, create much deeper awareness, and therefore a deeper transformation. Now, before we go into the next slide, before I share with you some strategies, are any questions popping up that we can come to? So I'll stop share for the moment. Anybody got any questions about what we've covered so far? No?
You all can come off camera, unmute
Yeah,
yourself,
put
and ask
hand up
questions.
and I'll answer questions. Yeah, I'll take some questions now before I go into some strategies.
I think you must be curious why we aren't asking any questions now.
Yes, absolutely. Nobody's curious. Great point.
Nothing is popping up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kat, there is a question in the chat box
Yeah.
by Ankita Mehta. How to draw a line between curiosity and interrogation? At times, it's difficult to gauge.
It depends what you mean by interrogation. Curiosity is when you follow your client and give them the space to answer the question. Interrogation for me is bang, 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 bang with questions. Tell me, Ankita, what you mean by interrogation. I might have misunderstood the question.
Yeah, hi, Kat. So what I'm trying to ask here is that at times it's like you are genuinely curious about a certain thing, and sorry about that.
Okay.
And yeah. So, but then in that moment, I mean, of course, I believe in the fact that there's no wrong client. So in that moment, at times the client gets a bit not defensive, but like they just brush it off. You can sense, you have that intuitions, that this is the place where the client needs to. Just give me a second. So I think in those moments is what I'm trying to ask, that as a coach you're intuitive enough to understand that this is the thing, but then it feels like interrogation, but you are genuinely curious to make a difference or to have not to make a difference in the client's life as such, but then I'm not able to properly put it in a sentence. But yeah, it's a genuine curiosity, but at times clients get a bit defensive.
If the question doesn't land well with the client, my reaction will be to be curious as to what's going on there. So if you get a sense of resistance, share it. Can I just share something with you I've noticed? When I asked that question, I noticed there was a bit of resistance there. I might be wrong. I noticed a bit of resistance there. And leave it, and then they'll come back to tell you. Because that's helping to create awareness for the client. When you share what you are observing and noticing with permission,
right,
then you're not telling them, well, you did this. It's like, oh, can I just share with you something I noticed then? I noticed when I asked that question, it was a bit, it didn't land quite well, or I noticed there was a bit of resistance.
You got it.
Just leave it and see what they say, see what they come back with, because they may not have realized that's what they've done.
Yeah.
So it's still being curious about their reaction to the question. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Because their reaction to the question gives you lots of information as well. Yeah. So that's telling you something that, oh, okay, they don't want to go there, or maybe, or whatever. Just reflect back what you've noticed and see what they say.
Yeah.
And if they are resistant to it, so I'm curious, where's that resistance coming from? What is it you are resisting? Absolutely. Intuition, greatest thing you can have as a coach. I think one of the things, if you are become a really intuitive coach, you pick up on the stuff that the clients are doing that they're not aware of themselves. Chances are your client won't even noticed that they've resisted.
Right? All right. Yes. Thank you so much.
So thank you for clearing that up, because interrogation for me means like question after question after question after question after question, right? Which we don't tend to do. Question, leave them space to answer. Question, leave them space to answer. Yeah. Does that help?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Very insightful.
Any more?
Yes, we have one more question from
Yeah.
Lynn. You have referred to genuine curiosity. Please expand.
Right. By genuine curiosity, I mean I have this amazing person in front of me, and I am really just curious about what makes them tick, about how they think, about their mindset. That's what I'm curious about. but not for me, not for my understanding, but to help them better understand themselves. Genuine curiosity is another way for me putting about coaching curiosity. It's being genuinely curious, not just asking questions because you think you should, or asking questions because, oh, they've told me something now, I've got to ask them a question. Which question do I ask? It's having that, it's allowing yourself to follow your client. So let the client lead. So wherever the client is going, be curious about where they're going. Does that make sense then?
Thanks, Cath. That's very clear. I asked the question a little earlier around at what point does it become indifference? We have a natural curiosity about people. And then we can be cold and distant and professional. And that will be spotted by the client. There's something around proximity versus distance. And when we're being human, and when we're being the cold, structured professional. And that's kind of my question. It's making me curious as to the thinking around that, So
I'm curious about what makes professional and cold. Can you not be warm and professional?
You can, but you want to avoid clinical coldness.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In terms of yes. So
absolutely.
yeah, I agree entirely. And warm professionalism is by far the better way to approach it. I just think it's a question around at what point do we become almost appearing to be indifferent because we are avoiding getting engaged with the individual. And we're in a very intimate space, and so you have to be careful about not crossing the line with somebody. Absolutely, 100%. It just is a question for me around that proximity versus distance. It's a question. It's no need to answer it straight away, but it's sitting in my mind, and so that's why I thought I'd ask.
It's an interesting question. If I think about how I coach, for me it comes down to authenticity and how do you feel about how you are showing up as a coach. We're all human, and yes, for me, I show up as who I am. And I am professional. I am utterly professional in what I do and how I do it. But I do hope that I have a warm connection with my clients, because this is me. You don't see a different version of me when I'm coaching or whatever. This is me, right? And so I wasn't always like that, by the way. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, we've got to be here, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, we've got to do the other. But I think if you tap into that genuine authenticity, yes, you set your boundaries when you start working with a client. You set the boundaries around the relationship, and I'm all for doing that. When you first make your agreement, create your agreement, establish your agreement with your client, you set the boundaries about what the expectations are. I always do this. I set what they can expect from me, but what I expect from the client, and that in there is establishing the parameters of the relationship. But then within those sessions, I am genuinely curious. I hope I'm warm, because that's where deep rapport comes from, but I don't get involved. I don't get involved in their stories. I don't get involved in their situation. It's that objectivity. And I believe that you can be warm and professional and still maintain that objectivity. Part of that comes with how you prepare yourself as a coach for your coaching sessions. So,
Yes.
what do you have and how do you get yourself into that coaching mindset before you start working with each individual client and get yourself in 100%.
I just, a client sort of sitting there with you and suddenly he says, oh, lovely choice of books you have in your study or something, or wherever you're talking. And then it goes into more of a natural conversation, and then it comes back into without crossing the boundaries. It's just interesting to know what dancing with the client really means.
What you mean. By dancing with the client, I mean it's that wonderful exchange. It's that connection where you are dancing in the moment, meaning not thinking ahead, that what question should I ask? And, you know, part of your mind isn't thinking about what you should be doing as a coach. It's actually just being fully present for your client in the moment. That's what I mean by, thank you for asking for that. That's what I mean about dancing in the moment. You're being just absolutely fully present with your client, letting your client lead, and you're following. And then every now and again, you'll challenge your client and maybe they'll go off in a different direction. And it's that dance that I absolutely love. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Me too. And yes. Anyway, look, thank you, Cath. I'm enjoying the presentation so far. Thank you.
Thank you. I've just seen another question about curiosity being vulnerable and courage. I encourage all of the coaches that I mentor to be courageous. I think and this is my opinion, but I think you develop coaching mastery by being a fearless coach. And what do I mean by that? I mean about being courageous to go and to help your client go where they won't go on their own. So it's being willing to challenge your client, whatever's coming up for them that you think might possibly be keeping them stuck, or, you know, you just be curious about it. It's not thinking, oh, well, I don't open up that can of worms because I don't know what's going to come out of that. That is constraining the coaching session. It goes where it goes, right? And if you think about the client, when you let the client direct the session, as a coach, I believe, you know, the client sets the direction, we help to keep them on track. And we challenge their thinking on the way so that they can get whatever they need to get from the coaching session. But by being courageous, I mean having that courage as a coach to challenge your client, because sometimes we've got so much stuff of our own to think, oh, well, I'm not going to go there. But if you're not going to go there for your client, I think it's a disservice to your client, because that might be just where they get the breakthrough. So Ajay, does that make sense? You asked a question about courage.
Yes. Thank you so much for clarifying.
Yeah. It's about being, you know, willing to go where your client needs to go.
To explore the areas where, you know, sometimes I may have hesitation not to go, right? That is where. Okay. Thank you.
If that comes up for you, then reflect on it. I encourage all the coaches I work with to do reflections, and then, okay, what stopped me going there? And then you work that through, take it to supervision or a mentor or whatever. What's stopping me? Yeah, we're all human. We all have our own stuff, but it's just, that's where reflective practice helps.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely committed to developing reflective practice. I've always had a reflective practice, and that's helped me grow so much as a coach, because it's then, okay, so that stopped me. Oh, what stopped me? Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Last one, I think, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Any views on curiosity with stakeholder from a client organization to understand the context and purpose for which you're being had? Absolutely. Ask all the questions. I was approached by somebody to work in an organization. My first questions were, what's the reason you want to work with? What's the reason you want coaching? And what's the reason you want to work with me? I tend to be upfront about these things. Absolutely, because if you don't ask those questions and be really curious about what is their purpose of providing coaching, who are they going to provide it for, what are their expectations of it, without that information, it becomes more difficult for you as a coach to deliver. So absolutely ask all the questions you need to do. Understand curiosity is a skill, so how can we develop it? Now, that leads us brilliantly into the next slide. There'll be time for more questions in a moment. Okay, so we'll go back to sharing, and this is the next slide. Leads us beautifully into some strategies to develop your curiosity. As I said before, I think genuine curiosity, passionate curiosity is a coach's superpower. Pay attention to being curious. Let go of the need to know the answer. I see a lot of coaches going, oh, well, I should be able to get I've got my client and they want this, so it's my responsibility to get them there. No, it's not. It's your client's responsibility. if you turn up with genuine curiosity and support them and hold that space for them to explore, they will get what they need. And I do firmly believe that. So when you ask questions just simply out of curiosity and be willing to challenge. Second thing is ask questions your clients don't know the answers to. That's what we want to be doing. And again, this comes to being comfortable with silence. When, you know, a lot of coaches are uncomfortable with silence, but I say celebrate silence, because if you've asked a question and your client is silent, it's been a brilliant question for them because they've had to go deep inside to find the answer. They're the sorts of questions we want to be asking our clients that they have to think about. They have to stop and think about. If they're trotting out the answers really, really quickly, then they already know them. And that doesn't necessarily create any new awareness, which is what we want to be doing. So practice asking questions that your clients don't know the answers to. Encourage your client to be curious as well. Encourage your client to be curious about their new insights. You know, during the coaching session, what new insights have you got today? What new learning have you got today? What does that mean for you? And encourage them to be curious about their own thinking. Let go of making assumptions about your client's responses. I'll give you an example of this. A coach I was working with, I was listening on a recording. A client said something or other, and you could sense there was something going on. And the coach said, "Oh, I can tell that you're really angry at the moment." The client came back and said, "No, I'm not feeling angry. It's actually a huge frustration." So be aware of making our own assumptions about what things mean. So you see a client is obviously upset, rather than say, "Oh, it seems like you're upset. It seems there's a lot of emotion around that. What is that emotion?" Ask what it is rather than making assumptions about what it means. That's where the genuine curiosity comes in. Ask for clarification. If you don't know, ask rather than assume. And check in with yourself, either during the session, although that can be a bit difficult to do, or as part of your coaching reflective practice. Ask yourself, what was my purpose in asking that question? What was I trying to do with that question? Where did that question come from? And when you start to reflect on that, you'll see how many, to what extent you are asking genuine coaching curiosity questions. Now, I wouldn't suggest you do all of these at once. I would suggest you choose a couple of these and go away and have a play with them. You hear me talk about this a lot. I talk about this a lot with my clients. Rather than work on it, go and have a play with them, have fun with it, and just see what happens. So, you know, pick a couple of those, go away in your coaching sessions in the next couple of weeks, and just see what happens. One of the things that has been mentioned, oh no, I'll wait and see, because somebody might ask a question about, I'll wait and see if we come to their questions. So yeah, before we go into the learning review, and I've got something that you can take away as a bonus. Any more questions coming up?
Yeah, can you show me the last slide, please, once again?
Yeah, sure. Hang on, let me. Yep, there we go.
Now, here I have a question. I'm Jolly. On the one hand, we say that client has all the answers. He has all the wisdom.
Yep.
And wherever client wants to go with him. Be curious.
Yep.
But simultaneously, we are also saying that ask questions your client don't know the answer to.
Yep.
So according to me, it is looking a little, contradictory.
Right. By that, I mean, let me stop that share and answer some questions. By that, I mean that they don't I suppose I should stick in there, they don't immediately know the answer to. So they can't tell you straight away. So you ask the question, they just don't trot out the answer really quickly. We need to be asking them questions that consciously they don't know the answer to, but they have to dig deep and think about it and then come up with the answer. So it's it's asking deeper questions rather than surface ones, I suppose. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. For example, let us say somebody is asking the agenda of that client is that he or she wants to become a better coach, and that is the agenda. And now the person is acting as a client, but this is the topic.
Yeah.
And let us say Kathy or Jolly is the coach.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the deep questions can be, let me know that what you think is your role as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
What is bringing this question in the first place for you?
Yeah.
Which can make the person go a little deeper. This is what you are trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely. What makes you say that? Well, I've just said it, but you're asking them to think about, okay, so where did that question come from? Or where did that topic come from? Where did that goal come from? They won't immediately know the answer. They'll have to go in and think about it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions then? Curiosity is a mindset which you can learn from children. Absolutely. Watch young children and copy them. Any more questions? Any more?
I don't think so, Kath. We can continue.
Right. Okay then. We're probably going to finish a little bit early then. Okay. Let's go back to this share. So, some strategies for you to take away to start practice being curious. One of the things that did come up earlier that I thought might have come up again is somebody said about judgment and being judgmental. Curiosity without judgment, I think, is one of the biggest gifts you can bring for your clients, but it is really important to not judge what they say. If you notice judgments coming up, then that again is a thing to reflect on and take to supervision or a mentor or whatever, because we need to be, my description of it is we need to be almost like a blank slate for our clients. We are human. We've all got our own experiences, our life experiences, our own values, whatever, that we bring to our coaching, but we have to be really, really careful that they don't impinge on our clients. So our beliefs are our beliefs. And yes, they may be a filter or a lens through which we see things in the outside world. But when we are coaching, to some extent, we have to put that to one side. And with that go the judgments. So we're curious about why they think that without judging that they think it, if that makes sense. And that can take a bit of practice. But it's coming from that coaching mindset. And when you are in a genuine coaching mindset, the judgment is left outside. Okay. So we've done the questions. So this is what we've looked at today. We've looked at what curiosity is in the context of coaching. We've looked at nosy coaching, the differences between nosy coaching and genuine coaching curiosity. Strategies for developing curiosity. And now the last thing is the learning review. And this is for you to take away. Here are a couple of questions for you to reflect on. What are your key learnings or insights from this session today? And how will you use them in your coaching? And actually, I think we've got a little bit of time. If you would like to type them in the chat channel, I'd be really interested to see what's come up for you. So what has been your key learning, your insights? You said, I asked you to set one thing that you'd like to take away. Have you achieved it? What are your new insights from this session? And how will you use them in your coaching going forward?
I would like to talk about it. May I?
Yep.
I would like to say that I think I found your session fascinating.
Okay.
And I was sitting here, I was wondering how I am so receptive to your session, the way you talk. And I think one statement you made somewhere that, when somebody asked you about professional and being a coach, and you said, why should you be professional, or what is it about being professional? And then you said, I am like this wherever I am. When I'm coaching, I am like this. When I'm talking, I am like this. So the integration you have achieved, you are integrated. You're not putting it in different compartments. I think that's one thing I'm seeing in you. And
Thank
I'm
you.
also curious as to how I am so receptive to you. I think this is the reason. Somewhere that integration is impacting me positively. I am more receptive to you. And also what you spoke about judgment. Yes, I will be aware of my judgment and I will continue coaching, being curious. I think alive to my part, which is judging. I'm not putting it away. And also I'm curious at the same time. I think this is what I'm getting from you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's been a fascinating session. I've been dancing with you. Although literally not seen, but I'm dancing with you from here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you
God bless.
very much. That's fabulous. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's yeah, we all have judgments, as humans we do. But it's how the challenge is to not let that impinge on our clients, because they're ours, not theirs. And it's about being like that blank slate for clients as far as possible. As I say, that just take practice. Having courage to coach as a coach to ask curious questions. Consciously maintaining my curiosity, courage to ask the right questions. Deep questions generate thought-provoking. Yes. And by the way, the other thing is, I'll give you a tip about questions, although this isn't about powerful questioning. The best questions for me are really short and succinct. They encourage the client to go deeper, because what we want to be doing is letting the clients join up the dots for themselves, not joining them up for them. Being authentic, curious, be present. Great. Thank you all so much. I've thoroughly enjoyed doing this webinar for you today, and I'm glad that everybody's got so much from it. There is an extension activity if you would like to continue to explore a little bit more about curiosity and what it is. If you want that extension activity, then if you copy and paste that link, maybe I can put it in the chat channel actually, or maybe could you put it in the chat channel, Aishwarya?
Yes.
If you click on that link, copy and paste that link, you can access the extension exercise. And if you would like to stay in touch with me, do please connect with me on LinkedIn. There is my LinkedIn label. And then we can carry on a conversation over LinkedIn if you want. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Just a second, Cath. Sorry to interrupt. I don't think I can copy and paste it because you're presenting the slide.
Oh, right. Okay. Now,
so you can send it to me and I can share it with them after the webinar.
I will do. Yeah,
fine.
I'll send you the link and then you can send it on to people.
Yes.
And just to finish, before I became a coach, I was a high school physics teacher, as I said, for many years. And I'd like to leave you with a quotation from one of my heroes, one of perhaps the most amazing geniuses of all time. So here's to us all being more passionately curious. Thanks for listening.
Hi, Cath. Thank you so much, everybody. Please don't leave the webinar because you guys need your CCU certificates. Because sharing it later becomes a little difficult for me. So just give me 1 minute. I'm just posting it on the chat box. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and ask Cath. I think Neha Agarwal had a question and she wanted to
I'm happy to stay around. I'm happy to stay around for 5 minutes or so if people have got some questions. I'm happy to do that.
Yes. I'm not sure if Neha is here right now. But
she did answer.
Yes. Neha, okay, she did answer. Great. Okay, thank you so much for confirming that.
Cath, you were talking about certain boundaries you set with clients when you start off sessions, coaching sessions. What are the sort of boundaries or discussions you have with the client on curiosity part? If you can share.
I don't around curiosity. It's just generally setting expectations of what they can expect from me, that I will be their best coach. I will absolutely do my utmost to help them to get whatever it is they want to get. And in exchange for that, well, my expectations of them are they're going to show up on time and they're going to be open to exploring. That's it. I don't really mention curiosity as such, but it's like they're being open to explore whatever. And I always pre-frame it actually in my first session with a client, and I always say, if I ever ask you a question that you're not happy with, let me know.
Okay.
So they then feel safe that I'm not just going to ask them questions that they might not like.
Sure.
Although having said that, I've never had anybody say they don't like a question. But even if they do, that's information too. So what is it about that question you don't like? You can always coach it.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, right?
Yeah. So when they say, oh, well, that didn't land with me quite well, that didn't land well with me. Okay, so what was it about it that didn't land with you? Or what question would have landed better? You can always coach. The client will bring you everything you need to coach them.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
I love this flow about you.
Thank you.
You flow with everything.
That I agree.
Thank you very much.
100%.
Maybe I should write a book called The Fearless Coach.
Yes. I mean, I think as a coach in me as well, I think I took away so many things out of this beautiful webinar. Thank you so much, Cath. One is fearless coach, of course. Second is, why is this resistance? If the client is feeling uncomfortable, and what are you feeling? Why are you feeling that? Such a simple way of putting it through. So thank you so much, Cath.